Respected faculty members, honorable guests, and dear fellow students, Assalamu alaikum and a very good evening. I'm your host, Sayyid Abbas Kareem, and I cordially welcome you all to the third and last session of a series of webinars entitled Networking Session with Successful Alumni. Dear attendees, it is my distinct pleasure to announce that for the first time ever, the English Alumni Society of the Department of English organizes a series of webinars comprises a total of 3 sessions which are aimed to empower current students by connecting them with successful graduates who have excelled in their fields. These highly significant sessions will feature a diverse panel of alumni, each sharing their unique journeys, challenges that they face, and how they claimed victory against those challenges. This series of webinars is designed not only to inspire, but also to equip the attendees with practical tools and advice that can enhance their career prospects. Similarly, by listening to our guest alumni speakers who have navigated the transition from academia to the workplace, participants will gain valuable insights into effective networking strategies and learn how to leverage relationships for career advancements in today's competitive landscape. Before we immerse ourselves into the rich insights that await us in today's session, I invite Mr. Sabghatullah, a renowned Qari, for the recitation of some verses from the Holy Quran. Mr. Sabghatullah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakallah. Before we dive into today's discussion, I would like to take a moment to highlight a few important points for both our attendees and the panelists. This webinar is designed to promote meaningful discussion with a structured approach that allows us to focus on one guest speaker at a time. I'll be directing as much questions as possible to one alumni individually, ensuring we can fully explore their multifaceted experiences and insights without any sort of confusion. And yes, a short note for the attendees who have joined us online. You can write your relevant queries in the comment sections either on Facebook or on YouTube. And as time permits, I'll put those queries to the worthy panelists. Now, I'm excited to welcome our first guest alumna speaker, Miss Lubna Hussain, a proud graduate of NAMAL with a BS in English, batch 2022. Currently, she serves as an assistant commissioner in the Inland Revenue Services. She achieved this prestigious position by successfully clearing the CS exam on her first attempt, a remarkable accomplishment particularly as she hails from Gilgit Baltistan, where educational resources are often limited. Her journey reflects unwavering perseverance and determination, qualities honed through academic and personal growth. The quality education in Namal played a pivotal role in Miss Lubna's Hussein's success. Her degree equipped her with critical communication skills, analytical reasoning, and the ability to think deeply, tools essential for excelling in one of the Pakistan's toughest examinations. Beyond academics, the guidance of her mentors and the university's supportive environment helped her shape her trajectory in the best possible manner, preparing her to meet future challenges with resilience and capability. We are thrilled to have Ms. Lubna Hussain with us today to share her inspiring experiences and insights. Ma'am, thank you so much for joining us today. Um, Ms. Lubna, are you around?
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa salam. So basically, I have drafted. First of all, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Um,
you for having me.
I'll jump into the questions directly. So, could you please quickly summarize your experience studying for your BS in English here at the National University of Modern Languages, Islamabad, and how did your academic background influence your decision to pursue a career in the civil services of Pakistan?
All right. So my journey with Namal or in Namal began back at 2018, and I graduated in the year 2022. So collectively, these 4 years obviously has to do a lot with what I am today. The mentors I had, I have been taught by Iram Shehzadi. Ma'am Iram Shehzadi is with us. Assalamu alaikum, ma'am, if you can hear me. And then I was being taught by Sir Muntazir Mehdi, and they were very nice, very well read and educated faculty there. Then, most importantly, my peer group I had as my class fellows. They were kind of source of knowledge for me, providing an environment where we were learning from one another, and of course, source of motivation, and obviously part-time source of entertainment as well. So all in all, it was a very good experience, and it really went well, alhamdulillah. And the question regarding CSS, the degree did not motivate me towards civil services. Rather, this was the purpose or the cause of civil services that brought me to Namal. After my FSC or pre-medical, I made this as my goal, to clear CSS, or to bring something different than that everybody goes towards medical or engineering, even though I tried for MBBS once. But then I decided to do something different, do something which is more challenging, and that was what brought me to Namal. And alhamdulillah, just after having my graduation from there, I cleared CSS, and alhamdulillah, the dream became reality. Yeah.
Um, So you talked about basically your motivation. So my question would be like this. To me personally, it seems that CSS has sort of become a tradition. It is some sort of a conditioning, as you said that you also appeared in the medical entrance exam, but I guess that you couldn't qualify the exams, and that's why you pursued a BS degree in English literature and linguistics. So I want to ask, what is your take on this sort of conditioning, and what was your personal source of motivation to pursue a career in the civil services of Pakistan?
Uh, well, as you see, every female of any area would preferably go to a field where, like medical, like teaching. So there's less inclination towards civil services, and then there's a myth that CSS cannot be accrued in your first attempt. You have to take 3 attempts, and then you have to study for years and years to make it possible for you. So that was kind of challenge that motivated me, that I had believe on myself, that yeah, it's not a difficult thing. It's not that difficult to not to be achieved in 6 months or in first attempt. So, and obviously, as you mentioned, that I belong to Gilgit Baltistan, in particular, Rastore, and in our areas, there's much prestige associated to civil services and to bureaucracy. And when I was doing my matric, at that time, there was a girl from a store who qualified CSS, who became as an assistant superintendent of police. So it province, when you do when you clear MBBS, or when you become a teacher, though they are very respectable, very prestigious posts, but the way this CSS is being celebrated all across the province was something that motivated me towards civil services. Yeah.
All right. Now I'll move towards question regarding preparation and the challenges that you face during your exams preparation. So everybody knows that CSS exam is extremely difficult, but mashallah, you cleared it on your first attempt. So could you please talk about the challenges that you faced personally, and how did you overcome those challenges?
Yes, so there are challenges. Obviously, it's one of the toughest exams. So it's a reality that we're gonna face challenges. A few challenges I would like to mention are that, being a student of literature, ma'am would agree with me that we are not supposed to produce a number of pages when we attempt paper. We are supposed to write on one or maximum 1.5 page, but the quality matters for a student of literature, right? But when I came for preparation of civil services, I got to know that in this exam you have to write at least 8 to 12 pages per question. So that was kind of challenge for me to speed up, the speedy writing. That was a challenge. And then obviously English was way enough for me. Usually English becomes a big challenge for civil servant, the aspirants of CSS, but that was not the case with me. And then Park affairs, current affairs, they were such subjects, political science, US history. These subjects have less to do with literature. So they kind of gave me tough time in civil services examination preparation. But Alhamdulillah, with perseverance, with determination, if you're determined to do something, if you're consistent, if you have enough stamina to sit and to study and to pursue your dreams, nothing is impossible, of course.
All right. Now, I would like to please talk about your study routine and strategies you found most effective in preparing for the CSS exams. And what would be your suggestion as an aspirant? When should I start my preparation for the CSS exams?
Okay, let me start answering your last question first. When you should start your preparation? If you are a graduate, I would suggest give your 100% to your own degree. Do justify to whatever you're doing, be it a BS English or IR or it's public administration, or you are an engineer or doctor, whatsoever degree you're pursuing, give your best to your degree, right? And another thing that simultaneously you should focus on is your English. If you're good, if your English is fair enough, grammatically correct one, then you will not face any sort of challenge that you cannot cover the content. The content itself is very easy in all the subjects of for subjects that we opt for civil services. They are not very difficult subjects. The course is lengthy, but if you are good at writing a fairly correct, grammatically correct English, then it's not a big deal to clear CSS. So I would suggest complete your degree well, but yes, along with that, do focus on your English, be it spoken or be it written, because there's another portion that is called Viva. So for interview, you need to have a good spoken English. So do focus on that thing, because for students who are enrolled in BS English program, they have presentation. They even have subject called presentation skills, so you can develop your presentation skills along with your other academic courses. And then my as for my routine is concerned, how I was making strategies regarding the preparation. So I used to first consult the past papers, so that because I had a limited time span, it was around 6 to 8 months, I would say. So I did not had enough time where I could go through the detailed books and then make notes and then go for past papers and evaluation and so on. So the first strategy, the first thing I did was to take the past papers of all the subjects and evaluate them. I took 1 month to evaluate past papers of all the subjects. That helped me to decide what should I read, how I should make my notes, and what should I not read. Okay, so this is one of the most important thing in CSS. What you should not read, where you should not waste your energy and your time. So and then making notes was another strategy, and then evaluation is one of the most important thing. Usually aspirants sit in their rooms or sit in their in libraries. They don't go to evaluators, they don't get their work evaluated. That keeps them away from what is needed. They do not know what to be produced in the exam. That leads to the failure and consumption of years and years. So evaluation is another very important thing. And then mock exams was also very important. And of course hard work is always there. You cannot say that you are not a hard worker if you are a CSS qualifier. So there were days when I used to study for 18 hours, maybe. And there were days not consistently, but yeah, some days we used to study for 18 hours, and some day maybe for 8 hours. So at least 8 to 10 hours you have to study. Yeah.
All right. So basically, what I got from your answer, because this is extremely important question, majority of the students, whenever they start their preparation, they face this challenge, as you talked about. Okay, to first of all understand, make sense of the syllabus. Was extremely important in your strategy. The second one was you also opted for feedback like evaluators, and the last one was the mock exams. I'll move on, and my question would be about, as you said, K, CSS exam is obviously all about hard work and takes a lot of time. So how did you balance your personal life and your academic life? What was your time management strategy, if you could please talk about it?
So usually when you start CSS preparation, you have to give up on many things. Of course, you cannot roam all the time. Of course, you cannot um, uh, do shopping every day. You have to change your routine. You have to compromise. You have to sacrifice a lot of things. Uh, so balancing your personal life as well as academic life was not that difficult once you decide that this is my purpose. uh, I find happiness, I find pleasure, I find satisfaction in preparing those subjects. The content I was learning, that was new for me, that was interesting for me, I was enjoying that. So I didn't have to go somewhere else to get that enjoyment from. So yeah, this was source of motivation, this was source of entertainment for me as well. And apart from that, I had alhamdulillah good friends there, along with my CSS preparation. So we used to do hangouts in weekends, maybe for 1 to 2 hours. So but at the end you have to sacrifice a lot of things for this preparation.
Um, you know, is per my own observation, and I'm sure you've also observed this thing, and you have some sort of experience regarding this thing, that during CS exams, aspirants are beclouded by pressure and anxiety, and there's a sort of ambivalence and uncertainties. So, in your opinion, what is the significance of a support system at hand, and how did your teachers, family, friends contribute to your success?
Yeah, this is very important question. So, of course, there's a role of teachers, friends, and family. So all the people regard around yourself in your surrounding are very important. You need to be very choosy regarding having friends. You should have friends who could motivate you. Alhamdulillah, I had such friends who always kept motivating me, no matter how down I felt, no matter how discouraged I felt. They were there to motivate me. My family was there, who was not expecting me to qualify CSS in first attempt. They were just of the view that go and consider this as your first attempt. Consider your first attempt as a trial. Don't put pressure on yourself. So obviously there was support from my family as well. And most important is, I believe, is the support of your teachers, because you know that they know you. You know that they know you, whether you are able to qualify CSS or not, whether you are on the stage that you can accomplish the success or not. So Alhamdulillah, I would again like to thank Sir Dr. Arif Javed from NOAA, who always kept supporting me. And when teachers say that yes, you have the potential to do this, you have the potential that you can ace CSS without wasting years in your first attempt, uh, and you have those, that talent, you have that confidence and everything. So when they support you, obviously confidence eventually comes, and that leads to success. So that helped me not to take too much pressure in this journey.
All right, all right. Um, Ma'am, in your opinion, what are the core skill set that a BS English student should acquire in order to stand in the competitive exams?
Um, okay, so regarding skills, because CSS is now not anymore an exam of cramming thing, you have to be very analytical. There are very general papers. Sometimes you might not be having enough data, enough knowledge regarding a particular topic or particular question. You have to bring data or content from another subject. You need to be analytical enough, you need to be critical enough, so that you could manage the paper at the spot. An aspirant of CSS in today's era cannot expect to have questions which they have already prepared. They need to have skills, not the content. Of course, content is very important, but more important is skills, skill development. So I would say critical skills, analytical skills, and writing skills, of course. The presentation skills are very important. In even if you have a very limited amount of content in regarding a particular topic, but if you have very good presentation skills, you can get very good marks. And we have practically experienced that. It's not just that we're saying this, but we have experienced that. You If you have been to this CSS exam preparation, you might have heard that this subject was hit this time. So what that means is that the topic or the paper becomes so difficult. The FPSC tries to make it this much difficult that you won't be able to have direct content or knowledge regarding that topic. But you need to have presentation skills, good writing skills, that you could manage it well. You need to know how to deconstruct the topic, how to make headings out of that question, and make it more relevant, adding charts and graphs and other stuff. So yeah, these skills are very important.
All right. So basically, you talked about analytical skills, critical skills, writing skills, and presentation skills are very much important. So okay, I'll move on to this question that I basically asked from all the CSS of CSPs. Um, what are the common pitfalls that an aspirant should avoid while doing his preparation or her preparation for the CSS exams?
Mhm. Reading a lot. They must avoid reading a lot. Reading from multiple books. Though there are CSP officers who would recommend that you need to go through multiple books for a subject, I would not recommend. If you want to clear CSS in a few months, in a year, in your first attempt, don't read a lot. Read little, but read it very in a very comprehensive way. So you need to clear your concepts, not to cover a lot of content. That's first thing. And again, many aspirants do not get their work evaluated. They would keep on writing essays, number of essays. They would attempt number of questions, but they will not go to any mentor or any teacher to get their work evaluated. So that's another very important thing. And there are myths regarding CSS, and aspirants should not consult every CSP officer. They should stop asking recommendations from, or suggestions of every CSP officer. They should only consult those who are very experienced in this field, who kept teaching these like CSS aspirants for years and years. So I would suggest this to the aspirants. And yeah, there are many other things that I if I recall, I'll share later on.
All right, all right. So my second last question would be, as the famous saying goes, don't put all your eggs in one basket. So, in your opinion, what are other good career options if the CSS exams do not go well for an aspirant?
Mhm. So we have two other distinguished guests today. One is, I guess, a lecturer, instructor, maybe, and another one is, I guess, content creator, maybe. So like we have freelancing, we can go for corporate sector like human resource management. We can go for script writing, content creator or creative writers. And honestly, I graduated in year 2022, and then I applied for CSS in 2023. I didn't search too much fields where I should go, but I often hear from people that these are the options that a BS English graduate can go for. So there should be, I would suggest, I would recommend this to you people, that arrange career counseling sessions in Namal, so that, because when we were there, we didn't have any sort of such session where we could be counseled in a way regarding careers. So do arrange these sessions for graduates at the very early semesters and first second semester, or maybe they, if they do not feel themselves aligned with the topics, with the subjects, they can change at the early, as early as possible. And at least at seventh semester or eighth semester, there should be such sessions in university. Yeah.
All right. Basically, the department in this regard is extremely supportive. We have job phase, we have career counseling sessions. There's basically an entire society that is functional currently. So the department, Alhamdulillah, is extremely supportive in this regard.
I
Um,
have heard that Namal has changed a lot. I'll visit someday, inshallah. I don't have time now, but I'll visit for
sure,
sure.
sure, you're welcome. My last question would be, looking ahead, what are your long-term career goals within your field?
Well, so far we don't have such goals, but obviously a commitment with us as probationary officers and civil servants of Pakistan. Whatever we are going to do, we'll do with it honesty. We'll do it with having a loyalty in our hearts and honesty in our mind, to serve the state, to serve the people of Pakistan, inshallah.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lubna Hussain. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for sharing insightful experiences with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
I
Thank you for
have,
having me.
There are some
well,
online questions, Abbas. Can you please check?
all right.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Um, okay, so the first question that I have, Ma'am, for you is, how has being a CSS officer changed your perspective on governance and society?
Recently, we have been attached to a program, a project, learning from community. We were attached to households in the peri-urb areas of Lahore. We went to the households. We saw people working there, the organizations and the people of that area. So what I found was that the failure is not on just on one part. Of course, there are challenges. Of course, there are loopholes on governance side, but वो क्या कहते हैं उर्दू में, कि ताली एक हाथ से नहीं बजती. If your awam is very much active, so never ever an officer or a government servant can dare to not do your work, right? So this is from both sides. For good governance, you need to have a very active, very educated, very literate society, members of the society. So it's on both sides. Governance, of course, every officer tries to make some improvement, do something better day by day. We'll also try to do that. But of course, we need to give awareness to society as well.
All right. Man, there's another question regarding subject selection. Like, there are certain subjects in which student, an aspirant can score well. However, they are ignored quite often. So, in your opinion, what are those subjects?
Anthropology is one such subject. It's a good
Mhm.
scoring subject and it's often been ignored. And then urban and town planning, uh, and governance and public policy is another subject that can give you a good score, and they are very easy subjects. Majority of the subjects that you can opt in css does not do not demand any sort of background. Their content is, fair enough, easy enough to be understood by any graduate having any sort of background. So yeah, criminology used to be a very good subject, but the last year it did not score well. But at the end, your preparation matters. Our times, US history got hit, and though we were not expecting that we'll be able to pass this paper or the exam, but eventually your preparation matters. If you are prepared well, if you're prepared, if you have good preparation of the subject, you will be able to score good.
All right. I have another question, I think, from Facebook. Um, what non-academic habits, for instance, fitness, hobbies, helped improve your focus on or performance, especially during your undergraduate years?
Well, in my undergraduate years, I have not been involved in extracurricular activities or non-academic activities, but I have to face challenges because of that in Civil Services Academy. We have sports, we have PT here. There are matches. A day before we had table tennis match. So now I actually feel I realize that we must, every graduate, every school student, everyone should have this experience of being involved in extracurricular activities and physical activities. It's a very good thing, of course. And being a civil servant, if we need to manage our stress, if we want to keep ourselves motivated, if we want to keep ourselves fresh enough to go for another very hectic day, we need to involve in these physical activities. So of course it's important for every graduate, every citizen, I would say, of Pakistan.
I have another question, and it goes like this. Um, the question, the one who is asking this question, affirms this. Okay, it's a bit personal, but he
Mhm.
wants to know: did clearing CSS meet your expectations regarding the life and career that come with it?
That's a personal question, actually. um
Yeah.
चांद हाथ लगे तो चांद कहाँ लगता है. So yes, expectations are never met. Let me make
Hmm.
this clear. Yeah,
Hmm.
expectations. We always keep high expectations, but nothing is perfect. That's why expectations could never be met. That would be a more diplomatic answer.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I have another question, and the person wants to know if you could reform one aspect of Pakistan's bureaucracy, what would it be and why?
Um, Actually, I am not supposed to talk much about bureaucracy. We are probationary officers and we have strict instructions. We have to
Mhm.
follow them. We have limited permission to be in such seminars, and but to not talk much about such things. So I would like to skip this question.
All right, no problem at all. I think that's all for you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank
much for joining us. And
thank you.
thank you so much for sharing your insightful experiences with us today.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me. Love face.
Allah Hafiz. Now I want to bring another guest alumna speaker. Um, I'm excited to introduce Ms. Taiba Zulfikar, who is a dynamic educator and instructional designer with a passion for empowering learners and teachers worldwide. Her journey began as an English Works instructor in 2016, and since then, she has earned prestigious scholarships, including the TESOL Practitioner Course 2020 and the Professional Development for English Teachers, University of Oregon 2022. With 20 completed MOOCs and experience as an e-mentor for Relo Pakistan 2021, Tayyeba has trained 50 plus teachers and MOOC facilitation and e-teacher scholarships. She has presented at international platforms like the Seoul International 2022 and e-teacher online conferences 2021. Currently, as an open qubit instructional designer and community lead, she thrives on designing transformative learning experiences that connect and inspire global educators. We're excited to hear from her and gain insights into her impressive journey and achievements. Ma'am, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Thank you so much
I'll,
for having me. Ji.
so I'll go on with the questions. Um, please summarize your experience studying for your MA in English here at National University of Modern Languages, Islamabad. What skills did you acquire during your stay at the university, and how did they assist you and your career prospects?
Sure. So, thank you so much. First of all, I would like to thank Ms. Iram for inviting me to the webinar. And I would like to thank her for all her services. I'm so proud to be her student. I have always seen her always engaging in youth empowerment, and I always strive to be like her. And I'm proud to say that I'm like 50% shadow of her. I have been inspired by her, and I still remember my teachers, Sir Yasir, Brigadier Salim, Miss Amrina, Sir Fakhr, Sir Ishar. They were themselves an ocean of knowledge. I was extremely inspired by them. Like, I feel like my journey has been a combination of every teacher who has taught me at Namal, because this was my first ever experience where I was actually encouraged to speak, because since my bachelor's, there was just one way of communication. However, when I came to Namal, I came across a lot of different opportunities. Like, there were different clubs, different societies, which we became a part of. There was amazing networking. The teachers were extremely nice and friendly with the students. Apart from just conveying knowledge, we used to have classroom discussions. So I feel like उस time पे you're not quite you don't understand the impact that it has in your life, but later on it's such an amazing unconscious learning, because I replicated the same thing in my teaching, and my students are extremely receptive to the knowledge that I give them, receptive to the teachings and the learnings. So I'm extremely grateful to the whole Namal University staff, my teacher, Miss Iram Shidati, particularly, because we all see she is, mashallah, not just a Namal star, she's a global star. So thank you, ma'am, if you're listening. And thank you for having me. And you can ask me any other question.
Thank you so much, Deva. Thank you.
Welcome, ma'am.
Um, I'll talk about your professional experience. You have earned several prestigious scholarships, such as the TESOL Practitioner Course and the Professional Development for English Teachers. How have these experiences shaped your teaching philosophy, and how do they influence your
Um,
work with educators around the world?
Thank you so much. So, when I was back in 2012, when I completed my master's till 2013, I used to do quite, I used to do a very teacher centered teaching. But then, when I joined these courses, online courses, because back then online courses were a really big thing. Now, after COVID, they are very common. Everybody is able to do them. So, I still remember that the first thing that I used in my classroom was Kahoot. I learned it from a course, and I was able to incorporate it. And when you're asking students questions, I myself would not be able to answer because I would feel very shy. But Kahoot is an ed tech software which you use it on your screen, on your multimedia, and then everyone is able to participate. So this ensures 100% participation. My students, if there were 50 students and only two would participate, then with the help of all these courses that I learned online, there was 100% participation. And everything that I've learned internationally has helped me collaborate with a lot of people online. And it has, I would say that apart from personally developing myself, I've professionally developed myself. I have been able to collaborate with so many people on webinars. A lot of the scholarship that I've gained have been through networking, through LinkedIn. So anyone who is currently, because I remember that MA English was kind of, there was a time when it was considered that it's not quite a good degree. But now, after doing it from Namal, in networking with people, like just look at me and Miss Iram. We have collaborated so many times on so many different things. She's my mentor. I always reach out to her if I need some career advice. She also reaches out to me on so many different levels. So I mean, सबसे बढ़ के the most important thing of all these things is networking and your personal development.
I'll be definitely coming up with question regarding networking and collaboration. But before that, I want to ask, as an e-mentor for Relo Pakistan, you've trained over 50 plus teachers and MOC, facilitation and teacher scholarships. What are some of the most rewarding aspects of mentoring teachers, and how do you approach supporting their professional growth in the online environments?
See, so one of the most important thing which is not quite glorified these days is the friendships that you make, because having friends who have common values is so important. I have some of my best friends from these teaching courses, and when you become friends, you automatically empower each other because you want the best for all of them. So I can walk in any university of Pindi Islamabad, be it NUST, NDU, AIR, Namal, and I would have a friend, they're ready to welcome me with arms wide open. So, apart from that, it's so many different opportunities that you get along the way. Like I trained those 50 teachers. We are now very good friends. Some of them have are abroad on different opportunities, and they keep on collaborating with us. And it's these 50 teachers are just the first batch. I think I have trained more than 500 teachers. Now, it was back in 2016 when I trained 50 teachers. So they offered me, like, for example, one of my friends, Sana, she is in FAST, and she is ready to collaborate with me in FAST, and I'm ready to collaborate with her in GIK. Miss Iram, when she comes back, I will be able to network with her on Namal. So it opens many different pathways for you. So if you're simply working on your own, you're alone. But if you're collaborating with another person, so there's this idiom which is like ek aur ek 11, which means 1 plus 1 is equal to 11, not 2. So you become a team. So I would encourage all of you to also collaborate and work on a common ground with others.
Thank you so much for talking about how friendship is fostered through collaboration and networking, and how you have learned these values through your career. So I want to ask, you have completed 20 MOOCs, massive open online courses. How has your participation in these courses contributed to your personal and professional growth? And what advice would you give to others looking to engage with MOOCs for professional development?
Sure. So when COVID hit, there were a lot of online courses which had a lot of fee for certification. But all of a sudden, thanks to COVID, a lot of fee was waived off to encourage people to participate in online courses. So I made the most of it. And if you're into teaching and or if you're into training, then the best thing about an online course is that it's an open resource. You get 100% fully made everything. Like in this world where there is plethora of knowledge, you get, like, if you enroll in Canvas LMS and you do a course on English for career development, there are modules, there are PDF of every module, there is open resource. You can use that banaya fully made curriculum for any of your students. So that is, being a teacher, it is so difficult to choose what to add and what not to add. They have quizzes, they have discussions, they have everything. So to anyone, you guys are a part of Namal. I believe HEC has collaborated with university on Coursera phases. Right now, they just closed Coursera phase 3, which means that out of any 10,000 Coursera courses, you would be able to take any course. And I know a couple of teachers who took more than 50 courses and they also got rewarded by HEC. So it's a ripple effect, right? Knowledge, one thing that nobody can steal from you is knowledge, and it will never ever disappoint you. Your certificate is not just your personal development, it will look good on your LinkedIn, on your resume, and people would know that you're a promising candidate. uh, Moving forward, there are so many scholarships like ugrad, susi, fulbright, humphrey, fltat. So if you there's a difference between saying, okay, I have done this and I am certified in this. So there's a lot of difference. This is why, no matter how qualified you are, if you don't have a MPhil degree, you will never be considered as a lecturer. My friend, I think she's more qualified than me in every aspect, and she is a master's. This is why she's not able to get a secure lecturership as yet in any university. So it's always a win-win situation. So I encourage all of you to please make the most of all these online courses.
All right, all right. As a community lead, how do you foster collaboration and connecting among educators from different cultures and educational backgrounds, and how and what role do online communities play in empowering teachers?
One, it's building a community is very easy but very difficult to maintain, right? So one thing which has really helped me in maintaining a community is my LinkedIn account. I would highly encourage all of you to use your LinkedIn in the best of your capabilities. First of all, make your LinkedIn very appealing in terms of picture. It should be an inviting. My name, I'm on LinkedIn by the name of Tayyaba Zulfikar. You guys can look me up and follow me. I post a lot of opportunities in terms of online courses, trainings. So, first of all, in order to build community, you have to portray, like, what they say, that best sermons are lived, not preached. There's no point of shouting community building if you yourself are not a promising leader, right? And people need to see results. So your LinkedIn is the best place for you to show results, that, I've done this is my accomplishment, this is what I do. And then automatically people would follow suit. And then you will have this community of people again. In just July, till July, up till now, from July till December, I have been a part of 6 to 7 guest speaking sessions. People have reached out to me, and in every guest speaking session that I do, I gain 2 to 300 proper connections, and I get 2 to 4 recommendations. Right now, I think I have 65 recommendations on LinkedIn, and they all are because of the fact that I personally have a strong leadership skill in me, which I show, and then people follow suit.
Amazing. In your current role, you design transformative learning experiences. Could you share an example of a project or a course you have developed that that had a significant impact on global educators or learners? What made it particularly successful?
Okay. So, guys, if any one of you has done MOOC on Canvas LMS, MOOC is massive open online course, and it's amazing. I've done around 20, 30 massive open online courses from LMS, Canvas LMS. Then I have done 20, 30 from Future Learn, and a lot. Like I've done 100 plus courses. Coursera itself, I've done, I think, 35 courses. So you know what I'm trying to tell you is that I love doing online courses, and guess what, in Pakistan most of the time people don't understand what are online courses. They're like, what is MOOC, what is Canvas? However, you know, universe always conspires to give you what you work for. In 2024 I got an opportunity to design a Canvas LMS online course. I could not believe my eyes that, you know, the course that the platform that I'm doing my course on has invited me to design an online course. When I did that, first of all, I did not want a regular normal online course. I wanted something unique which would cater to Gen Z, particularly who we are teaching. Gen Z is a very visual generation. So we totally changed. We designed a course, English for Career Excellence. So it was an English for Career Development course, which we redesigned to English for Career Excellence. We did not name our um, participants, we call them champs, just to give them a feeling of empowerment. And then we designed a course in which in every module there was lots of colors, there were memes, there were gifs, there were discussion. For example, if we would ask them to design a resume, then we would also ask them, how would your resume look in 2035? If you would ask them to design a cover letter, we would ask them, how would you make a cover letter if you were applying for a meme manager, like the memes manager, right? So we added a touch of Gen Z in it, like a very fun human element. We wouldn't write something like make sure your work is done. We would write something like, we believe in you, we know life happens, however, have faith, you're going to do it. So, you know, adding human element to the courses has been extremely rewarding. We received 100% result. We enrolled 40 students. All of them have graduated in a span of 6 weeks. We just conducted their graduation ceremony, and we also have a LinkedIn page, English for Career Excellence, and you can join that if you wish to be a part of cohort 2. And we would love for you to be a part of cohort 2 because everything is awesome about that course.
You talked about meme being innovative with regard to your profession. So instructional design is a field that requires creativity and a deep understanding of learners' need, as you talked about. So how do you balance innovation with pedagogical principles when designing courses or learning materials for global audiences?
Okay. So, sorry, what was your question? Can you repeat it? Like, how do I
Uh,
balance between what?
Being innovative and pedagogical principles,
Mhm.
how you're supposed to balance these two things.
Okay. So, you know, we need to understand the fact that, like I mentioned before, that um, there, for example, if somebody is coming to study English for Career Excellence, they are not looking for memes and gifs. They're looking for something serious. They're looking for a platform. They're looking for a portfolio, for a very serious portfolio which will help them excel. So, what we did was that when we designed the course, one question was that you A have to post your resume, B you have to do a peer review of another person's resume, right? So they not just designed their own resume, they also walked in the shoes of a teacher by reviewing another person's resume. It's always good to review first, and then along with that make your own resume. And then we also wanted a creative touch by having some fun. So we would ask them to make some memes or some gifs. We also um, talk to them about a lot of AI tools. There are a lot of tools that support resume making. We also told them about the ethical use of AI generative. We also asked them how to make prompts that are going to help you. I mean, by we, I mean me and my partner Sana and Atan. We also told them that, AI generation is like mayonnaise. It's if too much is put on a sandwich, it becomes really disgusting, but it has to have the right balance. So this is how we, balanced everything. We cannot just keep them away from AI generatives or any smart tools, because it is a need of the time. It really helps your work, but again, if it's used too much, then there's no point. So you need to use your brain, AI, pedagogical skill, creativity, and you will come up with amazing
All right, all right. Ma'am, you've worked with various international platforms and initiatives. How do you stay updated with the latest trends and technologies and education? And how do you incorporate them into your instructional designing practices?
I'm sorry, what was the first part of the question?
um, you have worked basically on on different platforms and on different initiatives, and my question is, how do you stay updated with the latest trends and technologies and education, and how do you incorporate them into your instructional design practices?
Okay, thank you. So basically, it's all about showing up, right? For example, um, I remember I applied in my school when I was back from USA. I had no job. I applied in one of my schools. I went there, gave a demo to class 4. And since I've always been a university teacher, I don't know how to teach students. I started giving a demo, and they were like, "You have failed miserably." Like, I was like, "No, I'm a good teacher. How can I fail?" They were like, "You did not ask the students to take out their erasers. You did not tell them which page to open. You just came and started teaching." And I was like, "What? Do we have to do that?" And it was, I was like, I can't do that. This is way too much for me. Anyway, I was sitting in my home, and then I got a call from the same coordinator that, there was this teacher who was having major surgery, and we immediately needed somebody to fill her seat. And I taught in that school, ACE International, Bahia University, for 1 whole year, which was an amazing experience. So, what I'm trying to tell you guys here is, I see a lot of people saying, "Ke, we can't apply. We don't know if we're going to make it." So one of my colleagues, they called me, and they were like, there are vacancies in GIK. Should we apply? And I was like, what's wrong in applying? Is that even a question? Of course, apply. Take the interview, and if you're not happy or happy, weigh your options, and then you can decide. So please apply. Apply for FLT. Apply for T. Apply for UGrad. Apply for SUSI. Apply for Humphrey. uh, I applied for GOC so many times until I got selected. I applied 3 years for in instructional design, then I got selected. I have been interviewed by the US Department of State so many times. I know one day I will be selected. I have been interviewed by LUMS so many times. I share a lot of opportunities with my friend, and they're like, no way, we cannot apply there. They will never select us. But I have been interviewed, which is a step ahead, right? I got interviewed for a position in British Council yesterday, which was amazing. So, this is also a big achievement that, you're selected from so many people. So, moral of the story is, never shy away from applying, keep on applying. And, one of the very intimidating degrees, Fulbright, nobody wants to apply there because, oh my God, it's so difficult. You must apply. It will open a lot of avenues for you guys.
All right. Ma'am, I basically have a few online questions that I want to put in front of you. Okay, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Um, the first question that I have is, do you think English Works of 2016 is different from English Works program these days?
Um, Yes, it is. Actually, before COVID and after COVID, things have changed a lot. I really, really, really hope, pray, and wish, if anybody is listening and they're looking for an English works teacher, please hire me. I really want to, because there's so much difference in 2016 and 2024. um, I remember when I was teaching, it was, I mean, it was amazing again, but again, um, there were so many things I could have done differently had it been this time. I was an English works instructor, but again, I feel like I was not able to give my full potential. But now, if I am, then I would totally rock the world. I would probably become the president of English works. So, if anybody is looking for a teacher, please hire me.
I have another question from another attendee. Um, he wants to ask, in your opinion, do these programs succeed in creating sustainable change, or are they limited to short term benefits? What metrics would truly capture the long term impact?
They can actually, like I said, K, you will not find a lot of people in Pakistan understanding online courses. However, there is always an invisible force which takes you to the right direction. Now the choice is yours. Okay? Do you want to simply stay where you are, or do you want to? And I have noticed that we are very reward oriented people. We just want a reward. That day I was asking my students, KG, you should have posts on your LinkedIn. They were like, how many marks are you going to give us? And I'm like, it's not about marks. It's about you. I'm not asking you to post me on LinkedIn. I'm asking you, right? So, like I told you guys, I was doing online courses. I would write them on my resume. Anybody would see my resume. They would be like, what are these online courses? Where is your research? I'm not a research oriented person. I'm an action research oriented person. I like doing short things. I don't like all of those other things. So you will find your path. ठीक है, you, there will come a time when somebody will reward you. So I would highly encourage each and every one of you to please do at least 10 online courses every year. Do at least one online course. There are so many different platforms. Search for them, put them on your LinkedIn, and you will definitely collaborate. Like, agar if you're applying for an online course, or uske, for example, if there is an instructor, Amanda Adams, online course always has, these are the two instructor. You email them, and if they do not reply in 2 days, please change my name to whatever.
Hmm.
They always respond. International instructors always respond. You can ask them about anything. You can ask them to come on a podcast with you. Start your podcast. बोले मेरी podcast में आ जाएं. Anything.
Hmm.
Collaborate with them. Have a webinar like Abbas Sayyed is doing the webinar. उनके साथ you can do a webinar. So it's up to you.
All right, all right. Uh, Another question is, given the rapid rise of AI in technology and education, how do you see the role of programs like English Works evolving in the next decade?
So you can never ever exchange human interaction and human teaching with any AI, right? There is so
All right.
much, there is so much more. Like, for example, there are four happy hormones that you should be getting every day in order to survive, which is DOSE, dose, right? Dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphin. And they only happen with human interaction, right? By hugging someone, by being kind to a pet, by getting rewards from a human, a high five, clap, somebody applauding your name, and that can never be replaced by any AI. Like I said, AI can always help you in in your everyday task or whatever. I use AI for my LinkedIn post. It really helps me balance out everything, because sometimes we as human have a habit of just vomiting out our emotions, but then AI tells us, you need to calm down. It's not that deep. But like I said, human interaction and English works is, Pakistan is one of, is, has the most alumni of English works in all across the world. So we are definitely doing something right. And please don't ever think that AI will take over. It can never take over as long as humans are alive.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Another question that I have, basically, I think it's on Facebook. What are the primary goals of English Works program in Pakistan, and how does it aim to equip students with language skills for professional growth?
Okay, so English Works is a 6 month program. First of all, the best thing that it gives you is that it connects you from people, different people, apart from your university or school, wherever you are. So, one thing which they highly encourage is speaking in English language. And we all know English is not just a lingua franca of the world, it's also a philanthropic language which helps connects people all across, right? It's so much more than just speaking in English. For example, if you meet a foreigner who's in trouble and they speak French, you speak Urdu, then I mean, if you speak in English only, then you would be able to help them, right? You go to airport, you watch different dramas. So they, number one, they highly encourage you to speak in English, and after 6 months, your career is going to skyrocket. So this is the kind of success, students in English Works become so empowered, they speak so well, that this is the kind of success that otherwise you find after 5 years of an experience. The kind of confidence that you get after 5 years of professionally working, they give you that confidence when you're simply a student. They do so many events, like English Works is now conducting an English Works conference. I think my first conference was like when I started teaching, and then I applied and this and that, and after 5 to 6 years of my professional degree, I got to work or present in a conference. But they are doing that for students, so they give you little snippets of everything. They conduct interviews in a very safe space. They give you such a safe space. They don't judge you in any bad way. They encourage you. There are so many events that are happening. They celebrate Students' Day, Teachers' Day, International Education Day. Um, I mean, they're always empowering you. There's this community. So these are all a couple of things. Uh, Apart from a certificate, they give you this whole experience of everything that the world is going to test you with. And even before you apply for jobs, you're ready. You're like, bring it on.
Um, and there's another online question. Um, Ma'am, the attendee wants to know what are your thoughts on the criticism that such programs like English Works um, receive, that basically these programs are tools of could be tools of cultural diplomacy or soft power. Do you view this as a strength, a challenge, or both?
Okay, so we cannot stop people from thinking what they think. However, I have been a part of English Works. I've been an English language instructor, and it has done nothing but give a platform where everybody can express themselves. I have not seen any English work students who has backtracked in life. So this is like COVID being a controversy. There are people who think that, I mean, vaccination is also a secret agenda, and then COVID was a secret lab experiment. I mean, uh, I feel like English is an international language which must be learned by everyone. And I mean, there could be people who feel like this is an agenda for encouraging soft power or brainwashing the minds of youth. But I feel like there is no such thing. They empower you. And I know a student who belonged from a very financially challenging household. Now he is serving as a trainer in Hashu Group. He was my student in English Works in 2018, and now he is a manager, a trainer. And there are so many success stories of one of my students. She went for grad. So I would encourage you guys to make the most of everything. I mean, they can. It's the same thing that we should not be using mobile phone. How can we not use mobile phone? They might be an agenda, but we are making the most of it, right? So just focus on the good things, and good will come to you.
Um, there's yet another question that I want to ask. Um, does the program have an alumni network, and if so, how does it support participants after completing the course?
Oh, yes, it has a very strong network by the name of Pakistan US Alumni Network. And then your email is registered in the network, and any and every opportunity that comes your way, you are always encouraged to apply when you have your email. And please, by email, I mean, if you wish to be a part of English Works and if you wish to have your resume made, please have a decent email address. I know a lot of people who have very weird emails like, scholar or pata nahi, teacher or this and that. You should have the email of your own name, right? So once you become an English Works alumna, then if you really want to, then the world is your oyster, and you can be a part of so many different things. There are so many conferences that are happening. They need especially alumni, EU alumni, to become a part of that. So that I know this alumni Varda from Karachi. Oh my god, her English, after her English Works, she is now hosting those that matches that are happening. I don't know, cricket matches, IPL. No, India IPL to India ka hai.
PSL.
PSL, she's hosting PSL. Now she's taking a trip to Azerbaijan as a host. She's hosting so many events, like, those housing societies events. So, it's how you make the most of it. You have English work certificates. Most of the time people are like, just for the sake of it, we can't go. I have conducted so many events in which I asked my students to come. They would first of all agree, and then on the same day they would be like, we can't come, we have this, we have that. So, you'd really need to step out of your comfort zone, and the sky is your limit once you wish to show up.
Um, all right. Ma'am, could you please talk more about English Works conference that you attended?
No, I mean, I did not attend a conference. It was a conference for the students that is happening.
Hmm. All
So,
right, all right.
like I said, that, when English Work started, I was one of the pioneers, and again, it was amazing experience. However, now after COVID, a lot of international collaborations are happening. The English Works conference that will be held is for the students. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is that it took me a lot of experience and years to be a presenter in English Works, but English Works is making that happen for the students who are merely 18, 19 years old. So that's amazing.
Definitely. My last question would be, because after bringing the last alumna guest speaker, so I want to ask you, looking ahead, what are your future aspirations in the fields of education and instructional design? Are there any specific projects or goals that you are particularly excited to pursue in the coming years?
Okay, so, for the longest time I was obsessed with doing PhD, and I had put so many of my programs at halt because of that. I was like, no, I have to get into PhD. But now I will let fate decide, and I will trust the universe with the process. I am now going to start my podcast because I really like to speak. And people always tell me, Zada Ustani na bano, don't always be the first one to speak. So I was like, why not utilize my communication skills into something where we can have healthy conversations. So I am really excited about my podcast, and I'm also excited about my PhD. But this is not the end of the world. I would love to collaborate. I would love to travel. So I will definitely be visiting. In my 2025 goal is that I would definitely be visiting at least one university in all provinces of Pakistan. And inshallah, I definitely visit you guys in Namal as well, through a proper channel, inshallah. And thank you so much, Abbas Sayed, for the amazing webinar that you conducted. I've learned so much. You speak so well. Your
Thank
voice
you
is
so
so
much. Thank you.
perfect. So thank you for
Thank you
having.
so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. There's this participant who wants to know that the English Works conference, when it is supposed to held.
Okay, so the English Works conference happens only for English Works students, right? If you're a part of English Works, only then you can be a part of that conference. And I would encourage, if you, I think Namal is hosting English Works, then you guys definitely should be. If not,
Yes,
then
yes, ma'am. A lot of students are currently there. They've enrolled in this cohort, I think. Some of my class fellows. Unfortunately, I couldn't because I had an internship to do. That's why I didn't. I'm looking forward to it hopefully in the next semester. But yes, students are doing it.
All right. So, guys, I feel like every English work organization, yeah, host have a different curriculum and agenda. So, I know a couple of English works organizations that are conducting conferences. If that is happening at your end, then good. If not, then you can always propose the idea. Or please, everybody do a mushtaraka prayer that I also become an English works instructor at some point in my life again.
Definitely, ma'am. We'll definitely pray for that. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for sharing insightful experiences with us. I wish I could ask questions after questions, but due to the shortage of time, I have to bring in our last guest alumna speaker. So, thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us today.
Thank you. Have a great day. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. Um, It is my distinct pleasure to introduce our third guest alumna speaker, Miss Rabia Jamil, a proud graduate in BS English from National University of Modern Languages, Islamabad, who has distinguished herself through her passion for community engagement and leadership. As the president of the Social Responsibility and Initiative Society, her contributions included organizing social awareness campaigns and managing charity events during her final year at NAMAL. Post graduation, Ms. Rabia embarked on a diverse professional journey shaped by her dedication to education and literature. She utilized her skills as a blog author at Adi Baat, proofreading and simplifying texts on Iqbaliyat, and as an administrative assistant at Dastan, where she managed voiceovers, edited manuscripts, and created animated content. Her creative expertise extended to freelancing on Fiverr, where she produced educational content, including children's literature and academic writing. Her most notable contributions lie in curriculum design, with roles as a lesson planner, textbook author, and self published author on Amazon, crafting engaging materials for early childhood education. As an O levels English instructor and student council in charge, she introduced innovative teaching methods, managed students' initiatives, and taught international ESL learners on platforms like Ingu and Preply, further showcasing her versatility and commitment to education. Ms. Rabia is truly a force to be reckoned with. We are very grateful to Miss Rabia for joining us today. Ma'am, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction, Abbas, and thank you for inviting me.
Our pleasure. I'll directly go to the questions. I'll definitely affirm this thing. Your entire journey basically is so inspirational. When I was basically going through your introduction earlier, and while I was devising questions, it was literally very inspirational. So I want you to please walk us through how your academic experience at Namal shaped you and provide you with an approach to excel in your professional life.
All right. So, first of all, Bismillah Rahman Rahim. I'd like to start by saying that I'm nearly not as accomplished as you all seem to believe, and not as accomplished as the ones, as the alumni that I'm sharing this platform, this virtual platform with today. So basically, now coming to your question is that how NUML and the English department shaped me in my professional career or in my professional life is basically, I think English is a kind of degree that is not a technical degree, and a lot of people do not opt for it in that manner to in order to have a set career path, you know, because when you have a law degree, you pass out and you're a lawyer.
But with English, you have a lot of options open to yourself. So I think the degree of English gives you something which is a perspective, and it is something. It also gives you a critical thinking. And another thing that I would like to mention is that it builds your communication skills a lot. And I think a combination of these three things, the perspective, the critical thinking, and good communication skills, is something that is definitely going to help you in whichever skill you want to excel, or whichever profession you want to join. So, and secondly, I think I believe is that the interaction that you have with the faculty members, the esteemed qualified faculty of English department, I think that is a kind of interaction that helps you a lot in very minute ways, because they are in diverse fields. They have excelled in diverse fields. That is something that will provide you with the essentials, I think, to excel in any kind of professional path.
I want you to please talk about your experience as the president of the Social Responsibility and Initiative Society, because you led several social awareness campaigns and charity events. Which project are you most proud of, and what were some of the key challenges you faced in organizing these initiatives?
All right, okay. So I think in 2021, when I became the president of the of Social Responsibility Initiative Society, this we were just forming these societies. Namal did not have these societies in form and structure in the way that they were built in those times. And we had our patron, Sir Dr. Muntazir Mehdi. He was very, very invested, and we basically if you talk, you asked me about the challenges. So the challenge was basically building it from the scratch, and building it up, building the structure up. So and recruiting, one of the great things about Namal is that we have a very diverse population, and that's our strength. We have people from GB to Sindh, all across. So gathering those people, getting them here, motivating them to come up with unique ideas, because a lot of times we're just stuck in our boxes. So motivating them, dividing it into different kinds of parts, all the different kinds of departments that could make a difference in the practical world, because I really wanted to do something practical in my final year. So and then you also asked me about something that sticks out in my memory is, I think we held a lot of different events, a lot of different charity events. There was a stationery drive, the charity drives, or the clothes drives, and food drives in Ramzan. These were some practical things. We also held educational seminars on mental health, and some ceremonies. So, but I think one particular thing that would always stick out in my memory is when we went out on Eid days, and on one particular Eid day, and we had my team had packed the essentials for kids, for some kinds of packages, which would things that would interest kids. And we went to the cancer ward of the government hospital, and I do not remember any mother that was there as attendee, because most of them, most of the attendants there were mothers. Because the kids were either too weak or too not conscious to be able to see or receive the gifts that we had for them. I do not remember any mother not crying that day. And it wasn't because of the things that we gave them, it was because of the interaction that we had with them. It was because of the acknowledgement that they felt, because they were there with their kids on a special occasion, and their families were at home, everyone else was at home. So this was one particular event, if you ask me about that.
Mm-hmm. Great. So, post graduation, you ventured into several roles, including a blog author, a creative freelancer, administrative assistant at a self publishing company until you started self-publishing children books yourself. How did you manage to explore such multifaceted fields?
Okay, so this looks good on a resume, but this was actually a post graduation panic. It's because I really wanted to do a lot of things, and I think a lot of final year students experience that. A lot of graduates experience that because, okay, because you're only always set on different things. You know, you come from your school, you graduate school, you go into college, you graduate college, now you go into university. Now maybe you go for higher education, but your trajectory is not as defined once you leave education. So education is a kind of refuge for you. So I wanted to do a lot of things in life. My goal was clear, as I told you earlier. Like if you graduate from an MBBS degree, you become a doctor. But and if you graduate from a law degree, you become a lawyer. But graduating from English, you have a lot of open options to yourself. And I'll say that for some other degrees as well, like BBA and other degrees, because they're much more generalized degrees. So I think I wanted to do all those things that I could do, and so that's why I stepped into varying different fields. First of all, and the thing that I joined was the blog Adibad, and I think that would be the reason for that would be my love for literature. And when you study English literature, I have a love for literature, but when you study English literature and you know the classics of English and everything of that sort, then you also crave to bring to light the amazing literature that your own people have produced in your own languages. And especially something like Iqbal. You know, Iqbal is not just shairi, it's not just poetry. It is a message, it is something huge. So I wanted to study it for myself and I wanted to digitize it for other people as well. So that was my reasoning to be able to, joined the blog as a contributing author. I never owned the blog. I was a contributing author to that. So this was basically one thing. Then after that, I joined the as the administrative assistant on in a self-publishing company, which was Dastan. And what I did was I was managing different things because of my degree in English. I was proofreading, I was managing voiceovers, and I was just experiencing all the different skills. I managed Canva, and from there, it's that I got the knowledge, or I got the the exposure of self-publishing world. And my goal was since the very beginning. I think even before I started my university, my goal was very clear to me, which was education. But my career path was not clear to me, which was that was the reason that I went into so many different things and tried so many different ways to implement myself. So after that, I now this is getting a bit long, but after that, I just entered my self-publishing journey. The Amazon, I made an account on Amazon. I started creating things, educational material, activity books, basic concepts, things that I thought that were very easy for me to do. And I launched my self-publishing career like that.
Um, Such an inspiring journey. So you talked about basically Iqbaliyat and your journey, your career in proofreading. So my question, the next question is about your Iqbaliyat blog, your contribution to that blog, and your focus on proofreading and simplifying texts. So, what value did you acquire while doing that job, like Iqbaliyat? What did it teach you while contributing to that blog, and at the same time proofreading or simplifying text?
Hmm. Okay. So my reason for entering that Iqbaliyat blog was to digitalize and to simplify Iqbaliyat. Just like I was relating a lot to Tayyaba when she was saying that how you have to present and the information to the today's generation. And anything and everything that is digitalized in today's world is accessible to the youth, and whatever is left in the old books is not accessible to the youth, because we do not like to access things in that way, and this is the harsh truth for us. So this was my motivation behind that. This was my reason to do that. Partially the reason was for me to develop an understanding, and completely and utterly I feel because my purpose is education. So I believe that we are in a moral and a spiritual crisis overall in our country and overall in the world as well. So Iqbal, I think, was not so relevant to his time period. Now this may be a very controversial statement, as relevant as he is in this time period that we live in right now, in the political turmoil that we live in, in the kind of the different kind of moral obligations that we have, or whatever different things that we achieve. We have the Western thought with us. We have the religious thought of our own country, our culture. We have to manage all these things. So that my purpose basically was to digitalize and provide education to people, to youth especially.
Mm-hmm. A relevant question that I want to ask, basically, as you talked about that your main purpose is education. So you have experience in curriculum design. So what do you believe are the most important aspects when developing educational content for early childhood education? And how do you ensure your materials are both engaging and effective?
Okay. So I basically, after I did my self-publishing work, I started working in an edtech company. As the curriculum designer, I worked as a textbook author as well as a lesson planner. So I think the main challenge over there is that curriculum at the end of the day is a piece of paper, and the way you need to kind of uh, put that into reality, because when you're writing on that piece of paper, when you're preparing a textbook, you have to understand inclusivity is the biggest challenge, because there will be students from a lot of different parts of Pakistan who have a very very diverse background, and they do not and more than that, the teachers that are going to teach that are not as qualified. So I know that our population, our diversity in Pakistan is our strength, but it also becomes our weakness, especially when it comes to education, because we cannot impart one kind of education. We cannot take the best education system, Finnish education system, and just implement that over here. Why? Because curriculum at the end of the day is a piece of paper, and we have to understand the realities that we have to put in. We have to understand what are the resources, what are the qualifications that those teachers will have, that will be teaching these books, that will be implementing these lesson plans. And we have to understand that what are the resources that will be available to them. So we cannot put on activities like involve technology or a lot of different different kind of expensive materials, because they just simply don't have those resources, and they will simply be disregarding it. So I think that was my biggest challenge, and I struggled with it, and my superiors, my seniors helped me a lot with that perspective development.
My next question is basically related to the previous question, and it's that i- in your role as a textbook author and lesson planner, what is your approach to balance creativity with educational standards? Can you share an example of a particularly innovative idea you incorporated into your lesson or textbooks?
Hmm. Okay, so I think the most innovative ideas were to involve different kinds of learning styles in that. Basically, I was making it for primary grade, the textbooks. So I had a lot. We had a lot of tactilely engaging activities in that. For example, they had I remember we used to call it a brain break. So, so children used to get up and, just for 2 minutes, just do a jumping jack. So that was a kind of a break for the mind because they've been sitting over there, and a lot of different things, a lot of different activities followed by following every chapter, so that they are assessed as well as they have some kind of practical thing. And another thing that we followed at Talimabad was the storytelling, because story is a very important aspect in life, and in education especially. So yeah, those were some things.
Um, how was your experience as an O levels English instructor and as an online tutor? For instance, how do you tailor your teaching methods to meet students' diverse learning needs?
Hmm. All right. So I very recently joined uh, a school as a O levels instructor, and the reason was that I felt a kind of gap between my in my resume, in all the panic that I had. So I felt that because you cannot be up there in the like our politicians up there in the parliaments designing laws for things that you have never experienced. So I wanted that classroom experience actually. So in the classroom, I think the thing that I felt the most, now O levels is taught to, I think, maybe the top 10% of this population. It's a very privileged population. Very few institutions offer it. If we look at it at a large scale, at the scale of our country. So even that, I believe that we do not kind of teach them we don't provide them all the receptive skills that are required to develop the spoken language skills. We like to stick to books, and even though I was the one working on those kind of books, they have the perfect curriculum, but it is not implemented in the way that it is supposed to be. And I because I teach language, just as I said in the beginning, uh, we language the only purpose of language is not to just develop communication. It's not just to have that ability to write and speak. It's also to develop a perspective. And English, because you need a lot of knowledge, you need a lot of resource basically to read, and a lot of resource to listen to in order to be able to speak well or to write well. So I felt that that resource was missing for our students, even in esteemed systems like O levels and A levels. We stick to an Oxford book, maybe. So I introduced some oral comprehensions in my classrooms, which was greatly appreciated by the administration of my school. And I incorporated in different ways, like recently we have this smog issue. So we need to make those students, those 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old students, the problem solvers, and the change makers of future. So I made them watch some videos about the problem of smog and what is causing it, and I made groups out of them, and I said, this is the kind of, and I said that you have to come up with a solution, or I gave them a solution and they had to brainstorm it and speak on it. So this is the kind of education that we only end up following in university. And I think that this is something that we should, at all levels, we should be following in the schools. So this was one thing that I am kind of proud of doing in my career as an English teacher.
Great, great. Um, Ma'am, you've basically demonstrated incredible versatility in both creative and administrative roles, from manuscript editing to graphic or content creation. How do you manage switch between these different types of work? And do you see a common thread running through all of them?
Mhm. Okay, so I did switch a lot. The thing is that there is a common thread on all of them that I can connect. I believe that thread is the education, is the way that we need to develop education, and whether that's through the digital blogging, whether that's through publishing kinds of books that you believe that will be able to contribute in any way, and whether that's depending on how to teach, especially which is my specialty. My specialty cannot be any all the subjects, so my specialty is English. And English is a subject, I believe, which we have a very complex relationship with. We Pakistanis, we have a very complex relationship with it. We I think 15, 16 years we study English, फिर भी किसी को अंग्रेजी नहीं आती. So that's the thing. That's probably, and I think as a second language, uh, I think 2 to 3 to 4 years is more than enough to learn a second language, and to be become proficient in it is 5 to 6 years maximum. So that's what I've learned in my experience. And if you adopt the correct strategies, we don't learn sciences in the right way, in the experimental way that it needs to be taught. We don't learn English as a second language because English is the second language in this country, but we don't learn any second language in the way that it needs to be learned. So I think this is the common thread in that, all of that, that how we should teach and what should we teach, and how to build up people and human beings who are change makers, who are morally and ethically superior beings. So that is, I think, the common thread and the common goal that I have in all of these.
All right. Ma'am, we have an online question, and the attendee wants to ask, do you think new graduates should write blogs and start self-publishing? How can these two activities help in finding jobs?
All right. Okay. So I think these are two opposing things. Self-publishing and writing blogs is a kind of self-empowering thing. It would not be a job, although I believe that definitely you can write all along. If you, whatever kind of writing you're interested in, you will find a job. Writing will never get out of scope. There will always be a scope for that, and whatever you're interested in writing, I would encourage you to not just wait for being a graduate. Just start doing that. That is one of the biggest problems that we have. We don't start our professional lives while we are in our still pursuing our education. So self-publishing is also the new thing. Definitely work on that as well. Whatever you believe, everybody has a story to write. We have amazing authors, especially in the English department, in the Urdu department, in languages. You should be able to start adding something to your resume while you're still studying. And self-publishing just simply provides you that opportunity.
Um, all right. There's another question. The participant wants to know, how much is networking important to get your work published? I've seen a lot of talented people who don't get recognition because they have no connection in writing industry. What is your take on it?
Okay, so I don't actually have so much experience in self-publishing, but I do believe that when you're self-publishing, marketing is a huge plays a huge role, and if you don't have networks, then I think the social media today is something that you are failing to utilize, because you don't need to have personal connections. You can have virtual connections, and it is difficult to build, but definitely, first of all, the self-publishing companies, if you find a good self-publishing company, they advertise for you, they advertise your work for you. So that is good, but you also have to market yourself. So start building a kind of an online platform for yourself, and start promoting your own self.
Hmm, let me check if I have another online question. Okay, there's basically as of now there's no online question, but I want to know. I'm a bit curious about it because you talked about that English degree provides you with this sort of freedom that you can experiment with different fields or different career prospects. It is good. It uh, sort of creates different options for you, but at the same time, it is difficult as well because with challenging comes ambivalence, uncertainties, and sort of not being aligned with a particular objective. What is your take on it? Is it difficult? What are some of the challenges that you personally faced, if you have, and how much uh, sort of it is pressurizing to be an English graduate?
Absolutely, definitely. Because when you get out, you're not someone. You have to start proving yourself from there. So the thing is that I think you said that there is an ambivalence, but I believe that there's one thing that should be clear in your mind, and that is your objective. That is your goal. If you have a goal, you will definitely, the career path is a much more flexible thing than the world believes it to be. So you can switch your career paths, but you cannot switch your goals. You have to have that objective in mind, what you want to do in life. When you know, if I say it in the words of Iqbal, when you develop your khudi, when you develop a kind of idea that you want to achieve in life, then definitely a thing that I feel a lack for is that network with like-minded people. LinkedIn is there for that. Network with personally with kind of people who are where you want to be or where you think you want to be. So just connect with them, speak with them, and even when you are still pursuing your education, and then just embark on those careers that you will find. You will definitely find a lot of different places to switch to. Some people stay in their comfort zone. I know this thing. I want to stick to it. Don't do that. You can experiment your skills, you can develop new skills. Don't be afraid to develop new skills. And in these times, I think this is our biggest strength. Our generation's biggest strength is that we can develop new skills and we can move to different kinds of ideas, and you everything will fall into place if your goal is clear in your mind.
Thank you. Ma'am, could you please share a sample of your self-publishing children's content? I think that will make the session a bit engaging, but at the same time also sort of give a perspective to the attendees.
Sure, sure. Okay. All right.
You
So
can
what
share your screen. Ma'am Iram, if you could please allow her to share her screen.
I think I can share the screen. Let
All
me just.
right.
Yeah, she can share.
Okay, so I was caught off guard. Didn't think you will ask me that. Okay, so um, let me just show you. This is my very starting work when I just started working on it. So this is a basic concepts children's box set. Those tiny box sets that you see. So this one was all made on Canva, where with little to no expertise, and this was like the number book. And then if this loads, you'll be able to see that I have some other samples as well. So because this was kind of thing that I looked at in the bookshops, and I was like, I can make that, I can do that. So this was done in English as well as in Urdu. So this was these are different books bunched up into one to just make a sample. So if you can see that, oh, can you see my whole screen? Yes, you can. Okay. So this was it, and I think let me just show you quickly. This was the bodies. These are different books. The body. These are my first words: clothes, toothbrush, and things like that. And this one was in Urdu. So let me just show you that. So here we have all of these same things in Urdu as well. So this was the back cover of my book. So yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity to share that. I can't hear you actually. Your mic is muted.
Okay, okay, sorry. Could you please share your future aspirations with us, looking 5 and 10 years ahead? What are your key aspirations? Any initiative or project that you want to work on?
So basically, I think I want more networking. Definitely, I feel the lack for that still in my career, and I feel that I want more perspective on the ground realities. And for that, I look up to organizations like Teach for Pakistan that are doing amazing work, and I hope to join them soon. I look at TCF, which is the Citizens Foundation, and the work that they've done, and all the similar things that are providing the equality and the equity in education to the underprivileged. Because I've now experienced I have this experience, as you have gotten the idea that I like to diversify my experience. So I have the experience of how the privileged class and what kind of things that they get to experience. I would also really want to experience what the communities in the remote or far off areas are experiencing. And okay, and by the way, so in my self-publishing journey, I think personally I would also want to develop some resources because I feel the lack for that. I would want to develop like storybooks in English as well as in Urdu, and develop a kind of not only the language through that, but also the character through that, because I really love to step into writing and authoring now.
Great. Wish you the best of luck. Let me check if I have any online question. If not, I think that's all. Yeah. We don't have any online question. Ms. Rabia, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for sharing insightful, very inspirational experiences with us. Um, and I think that's the end of our last session. Once again, I'm very grateful to all our guest alumni speakers for honoring us with their esteemed presence in today's webinar. And I'm also thankful to all the participants for being patient with us today. And I'm very sure that this session will extend the future academic and professional horizons of the attendees. And I wish you all the best of luck to the participants, to the panelists. And once again, thank you so much for joining us today. Allah Hafiz and good night.
Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.